Alrighty, guys. Today we have got another session of the Storm the Castle campaign. This time, Arbor the 4th, 1653. This was a relatively short campaign, or session, which is fine because our last session ended on a pretty open note, so I needed to sort of figure out what direction they wanted to go in with this session. And I was planning on doing a lot of like housekeeping, updating people's characters to fit with the newest version of the system that I've been working on, but I realized I was kind of like missing some stuff for that. Anyway, the session itself. So 2 letters got sent out. One letter allegedly from Lady Arwen to Adrian that stated that the Lady Arwen that they knew was in fact a fake, a magical, spy or something, and that the real Lady Arwen was being kept as a welcomed guest in the wherever the corpse weaver is. And there was another letter from Sonia, the headmaster of the monastery, to Humdu, stating that Humdu should start working on a new monastery down in Igolia, where they are right now, because of like the ancestral ties to the past that realm has. So the outcomes. So Adrian sort of tells the elf prince Bel Elior, who decides to keep Lady Arwen locked in a prison cell basically until he can get like a oracle from the elf forest to the aether forest to come down and then test to see whether or not she truly is who she says she is, or if she is actually a spy. So I'm sure something interesting will come of that when that happens. And Humdu has started looking at prospective locations to start constructing this monastery. Then Cletus, he's gotten his family, his clan Gilmore, friends and family. They're down in his hold right now. They're helping him starting to repair it. And then, so we went to the only thing I actually had like ready and that I knew was going to happen this session was the Council of Arcor City. And, so they go down and do that. Beforehand, they get Bastien Leloup, who was the original leader of the Roadhounds, who was going to represent his gang. They used their bardic suggestion magic to convince him to instead send Elena, the younger second in command, who has a desire to legitimize their family and get them noble title and all that. So how that's going to go down when she sort of returns and then tells them what has happened, I guess we will see. But otherwise, the Council of Arcor City, I had decided to use like a racing clock sort of skill challenge for this, where the players would make like persuasion checks, and if they got to 5 successes before they got to 4 failures, they would pass, and the council would be a success, and that all the allies would decide to work together. This was like among my first times trying something like this, so I do wish I made it a bit harder, like maybe like 6 successes versus like 3 failures, because just given the amount of resources that the players have access to assist them with skill checks, with 5 versus 4, it like didn't even feel close that there was any possibility that they were gonna fail, which is slightly unfortunate because I was kind of hoping that they were gonna fail, because I did prepare some blow up moments from the different members of the council, which I think would have been fun to see those play out. But they ended up succeeding. they convinced everyone to work together. So they've made some pretty good progress towards forming this army to fight against the Corpse Weavers, his hosts of darkness and all that. Then they had decided that they were going to seek out the Merzin's flying castle to see if they could convince him to join them on their mission to stop the Corpse Weaver. So I do think in general I'm very happy with things are going. I do think I've finally hit my stride. I've got like a flow in the campaign. There's like a momentum that I like where we're at. I think in the past, I don't know if I want to say it felt directionless, but I think there was a lack of interconnectedness between sessions. Like everything just kind of felt like, go forward and do this quest, and then, all right, just continue fighting Lurius and going towards that until you do that, and then we all have to find a new quest for you guys to start working towards, where it did feel like a little just doing like one level at a time sort of thing. Whereas I did want to have more of like an open world-ish type feel. And I do think the clocks have worked towards creating that feeling that there's multiple things you can go and work towards, and they will all like ultimately help you in your main goal. I did realize the problem with that in this session, though, is that I wasn't sure what direction they were going to go in. I wasn't I was pretty confident they were going to do the council, but I wasn't sure what they were going to do after that. So I had like prepared like 20% of a session for like 5 different things they could go do. If they went off to like Gobgank, or if they went to go try to help the elves, or whatever it is, I had like the tiniest amount of a session that I thought I could work off of. We did end up just like calling it after the council basically, and deciding to go to Merzin. But I do think that in the future, like I definitely need to figure out what the players want to do next after this session, so that I can have something like properly prepared for that. And I do think the clocks help for people knowing what's available to them to begin pursuing for future sessions, which I do think has helped in that, like, I don't know if I want to say that I think it felt railroady before, where it's just like saying that Lurius is the new problem and he's the new next lieutenant you have to go out and deal with. Whereas now there's like an amount of choices that, where it's the players choosing what they actually want to pursue. Another thing with Cletus and Humdu, there's now like reasons for people to want to gather money, because now Humdu is going to need a whole lot of money in order to fund his monastery, in order to actually build that, and Cletus is going to need a whole lot of money to repair his hold. But once both of those things, and or either of those things, are completed, they are definitely going to get some pretty hefty benefits from having that completed stronghold. And for Adrian, I haven't put this out there yet, but I am thinking something along the lines of the 1,000 Troubadours wanting to expand and like offering to have him build like a theater or something along those lines. So yeah, I do think in the grand prestige and kingdom arcs, I do think I want to go in the direction of strongholds. I do think in the past I tried playing around with that idea of like organizations and raising through the ranks, but I realized like managing your members and managing your facilities when you're not even the leader of it just kind of felt But I feel like if you are the leader of your stronghold, then you'll actually be like excited when you get new stuff, new members, and new, because they're all people that you can directly, order around and get the direct benefits from. So okay, yeah, that was all that construction stuff. Also, I do feel like I'm gonna steer away from any idea of kingdom building, because I do think there are maybe some people that would have fun with that kind of Civ gameplay of choosing your taxation levels and like how many holidays to have in a year and all of that. But I don't think that's the kind of thing that everyone at the table could have fun with. Whereas a stronghold, once you have it built, you can just sort of leave that in the background, just set it and forget it, and then it'll just generate stuff for you. So I think that'll be. I think people will have fun once they actually get their strongholds built. Okay, so was that everything? Alright, yeah, I guess I just wanted to take a quick look at the faction clocks that I had, just as a quick note of where we are grand scale wise. So we've got the Gather Allies, they've got the Duke, and they've got the Roadhounds, and they sort of have the elves and the orcs. They've got the elves and the orcs signed up, and they are going to fight alongside them, but the elves need an army, and the orcs also need an army. Nightfall. Ooh, no one knows what that is, but it's probably something bad, maybe? We shall see. Okay, Court, the Rose Court, Principalities. So there's a bunch of... They actually know what this is at this point. This is the... they need to convince all the different lords and princes of the Aether Forest to be willing to send allies to the elves. So they will likely have to, if they want to expedite this process and get the elves to send them some troops, they are going to need to help the elves out with some stuff that they want accomplished over here in Igolia. The Green Tide, so they are going to have to crump some orcs on the head and convince their tribes to work under Gobgank instead of work under their current chief. Fortunately, because of orcs being orcs, they would be willing to do that. These are going to all be things that can probably be solved through combat. At least that would be the most easy, efficient way. But I think you could do... There's probably a diplomatic route as well. Now, this one. So about that demon that they had accidentally unleashed a little while ago from that portal to hell. He's going to be working on a thing, so we'll see what happens with that. And Crumb Enterprise, I don't know if any of the... I think the players have actually encountered some stuff involving this before, but I don't know if they actually remember any of that stuff. But I'm sure at least one of them will have some interest in whatever is going on here. But yeah, generally, I'm pretty happy with the idea of the clocks and the idea of being able to complete whatever quest you want to work on, and knowing that that is going to have a substantial effect on the overall central tension main plot thing going on. And also with the letters to Humdu and Adrian, they now both have a reason to stay in Igolia. Now they've both got problems that they need to solve here. Alright, but yeah, no, that is it for this session. I'm happy with how things are going. I'm excited for the next one. Alrighty, I will see you guys later.